Hello, everyone. Homicides are common all the time. However, it is extremely rare for the deceased to turn out to be a bodybuilder and a participant in the Mr. Olympia contest. Or rather, it happened only once. The victim turned out to be Ray Mcneil. During his rather short professional career, Mcneil beat Ronnie Coleman, Kevin Levrone, Nasser El Sonbadi. He was considered a promising athlete, almost the second Lee Henny. Who knows what he would have achieved if it hadn't been for the accident? Maybe not so unhappy, though. That's what we'll try to figure out in today's issue. Ray Mcneil was born on December 17, 1965. Ray spent his childhood in the town of Dunn in North Carolina. There, young Mcneil was a local soccer and track star. At the age of 16, he became interested in bodybuilding. With a height of 175 centimeters, he already weighed 74 kilograms, and in just a year of training, he managed to gain up to 83 kilograms. In 1983, Mcneil left to serve in the Navy. He served at a base in California. In 1985, he entered the stage for the first time and took third place in the heavyweight championship of the West Coast. After that, he ended up abroad on business and won several international naval tournaments. In 1990, according to other sources, 87th is indicated Ray met Sally, who served at the same military base. Sally, like Ray, was a bodybuilder, and she had already been married, had 2 children, and divorced. And the reasons for the divorce were the beatings that Sally was allegedly subjected to by her husband. Remember this fact; it will be very useful to us in the future. In the same year, 1990, Mcneil won the heavyweight category and the absolute championship in the National Championship of the U.S. Armed Forces. Sally also won among the women. Ray then took third place in the heavyweight division at the California Championships. As a result, the year 90 turned out to be very, very productive. After that, Mcneil was faced with the choice of continuing to serve in the Navy or starting a career as a bodybuilder. He chose bodybuilding and retired from the Army in February 1991, and he was faced with the task of obtaining a professional card. Ray coped with it on the first attempt, defeating Paul Dillett in the heavyweight division at the North American Championships and winning the absolute championship there. And just a year later, Mcneil made his professional debut in the spring of 1992 at the Chicago Pro Tournament, at which he put up 101 kilograms of weight and took the 8th place. A week later, he finished 7th at the prestigious Night of Champions. The second place at the Niagara Falls Pro Competition in 1993 allowed him to qualify for the Olympic Games. In this tournament, one of the strongest in history, Mcneil managed to take 15th place, which was quite good in such a composition of participants. After Olympia, Ray took part in the Grand Prix Tour, and Sally was present at all tournaments, following her husband on the train. Mcneil skipped 1994, focusing on gaining weight. Bodybuilding fans never found out how successful this set was because Ray Mcneil died on February 14, 1995. To die on Valentine's Day at the hands of his wife, what could be more incredible and tragic? Let's try to reproduce the course of events of that fateful evening in as much detail as possible. Mcneil was preparing for the Ironman Pro competition, which was scheduled to take place on February 18th, and held another training session. It ended on February 14th at about 10 p.m., and at about 10:40 p.m., Sally shot Ray twice with a shotgun. Once in the stomach and once in the head. The first shot fractured 3 ribs, shot off a third of the liver, pierced the adrenal glands, kidney, and abdominal aorta. The second one tore off the upper jaw, half of the lower jaw, and tore off part of the tongue. Mcneil died on the spot from his wounds. He had no chance of surviving with such injuries. On February 16th, newspapers and TV channels began to savor the news, most of them featuring the words steroids and steroid rage. A friend of the Mcneil family, journalist Steve Nees, called Sally, and she began to say that she was silent about the cases of Ray beating her. "Why didn't you get divorced?" Steve asked. "After all, this marriage was dangerous for you. He was also dangerous for children." "I was hoping to remake him, and I didn't tell anyone about the beatings because I thought it would ruin his bodybuilding career," Sally replied. On February 18th, she was brought to court, where she tried to present herself as a victim of beatings in both marriages and make it look like her shots were necessary self-defense. The police found steroids in her husband's apartment. Sally claimed that at the time of his death, Ray was on drugs and she had been clean since the October U.S. National Championships. Both had tests, but the results were due in a few weeks. When the tests were ready, it turned out that 5 different types of drugs were found in Ray's body. What turned out to be in Sally's blood was not made public. During the interrogation of Sally, it turned out that the cause of the conflict could be her jealousy. Back in 1990, she attacked spectators at a competition in San Diego and was disqualified for a year. As Sally explained, she attacked the woman for a reason, but because she was Ray's lover. According to some accounts, Sally grabbed the victim's hair, hit her with blows, sat astride her, and showered her with a series of new blows. The latter seems more likely when you consider that Sally participated in duels in the Navy and exclusively with men. It should also be noted that Sally was 4 years older than Ray and was not considered a beauty. At the same time, Mcneil was a very bright man. Among other things, Sally complained that Ray wouldn't take her anywhere and was trying to control his wife's life. Knowing all that was said earlier, would you often take with you a jealous woman who at any moment can attack any woman you look at with her fists? Someone will think that I'm starting to take Mcneil's side in this dark story purely out of male solidarity, but there is a fact of the crime, and I certainly feel more sorry for Ray than Sally, who was eventually sentenced to 49 years, which is equal to life imprisonment. Ray was a real athlete and a great showman, and Sally wasn't doing well on stage. She finished 4th in the 1991 tournament, followed by 2nd in 92 and 4th in 93. But these were still not particularly well-known and popular tournaments, and in recent years she has not been able to break into the top 10 at the U.S. Championships. For the unstable Sally Mcneil, an additional reason for dislike of Ray and aggression could be his success in bodybuilding. During the trial, an episode surfaced when Ray parked in the wrong place and punched a tow truck driver in the face, for which he allegedly received 2 weeks of correctional labor, and that Ray and Sally appeared in public from time to time with bruises on their faces. But these could also be traces of the violent passion of overly temperamental spouses. In an interview with Flex magazine in October 1996, Sally also adhered to the self-defense version. At the same time, Tegan Cleave commented, "For all 8 years, Ray served as a means for Sally to satisfy her sexual needs, was her toy and a friendly dog all the time while she continued to pay the bills. But in simple terms, he was just another failed bodybuilder with nowhere to go, a man who could be held back with a couple $1,000s, a wig, and a few pieces of chicken breast." When Sally told him it was time to look for a job, Ray began to develop an escape plan, according to another testimony from a family friend, journalist Steve Nees. They lived in a small apartment. I visited them at least once a month and never witnessed any scandals. The newspapers wrote that he regularly beat his wife, but I never heard him even raise his voice at her. If Ray had beaten his wife, it would have affected the children. They would have been scared, but I didn't see it. Sally was very proud of the children and considered them talented. The children were not Ray's family, but he never called them adopted. There are also a number of other questions. For example, where did the gun come from in the house? Sally admitted that she did not intend to kill her husband because the gun was loaded with shot, and she did not think that the shot would cause such damage. Why would a lady experienced in fistfights even run for a gun? A few days before the tournament, and even after training, the bodybuilders can barely drag their legs. Again, we remember that there were 2 shots. Sally herself explained the second shot by saying that the first one could not stop Ray. But according to another version, after the first shot, Ray fell to his knees and Sally just shot him in the face. This story has many contradictions and versions. Ray's funeral took place on February 19th. About 300 people gathered for them, including fellow bodybuilders Michio Grubbs, Diane Dennis, and Jerry Rogers. Saddened children Sally, Shantina, and John were also there. The preliminary hearing in the case of Sally Mcneil was postponed from February 18th, 95 to May 10th. Over time, a harsh sentence was passed. The judges didn't believe Sally's version of self-defense. Years later, in 2004, she tried to appeal, claiming that she was in a state of passion because her husband constantly beat her during the commission of the crime, but the appeal was rejected and the verdict was upheld. Following the results of this high-profile event, the streaming service Netflix released a 3-part documentary series, Killer Sally, in 2022. Relationships based on cruelty and rudeness, if they are not interrupted in time, often end with the death of one of the partners. And as always, I will be grateful for your support. It helps in the development of the channel. Please like, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, and do not forget to click on the bell so as not to miss the new release. Thanks for watching. Sports Guru was with you. See you later.